For 21 years, Abram built everything from cabinets to kitchens on TV. Then in 2009, he suddenly walked away. The show was making millions, but something was happening that viewers never saw. It wasn't about money or ratings. What he revealed later about those final seasons would shock even his biggest fans. The cameras never showed the whole story. In the summer of 1979, Abram almost walked away from the job that changed his life. A small 12 by 6 FT barn needed building in the backyard of a home in Lincoln, Massachusetts. The owner, Russell Morrish, had already been turned down by 3 contractors. Norm wasn't excited either. He normally worked on big renovations, and this one didn't pay much. But it was a slow season, and he needed the $2,800 to pay his crew. So he took it. What caught Mash's attention wasn't just the build. It was how Norm spent hours organizing every piece of lumber by size and grade before starting. That simple act told Mirage this man was different. At the time, Norm was just another struggling contractor with a small business and 2 employees. He barely made $85,000 a year. He thought about switching to kitchen renovations full-time to stand out in the crowded Massachusetts market. When Morrish asked him to appear on a new PBS show called This Old House, Norm panicked. He hated cameras. His hands shook. He couldn't even talk straight during the first screen test. But Morrish saw something in that nervous energy. He thought viewers would find it real. He was right. 6 months later, Norm was booked solid for 2 years. Viewers wrote in by the hundreds every week asking him for woodworking advice. The show itself almost didn't happen. PBS didn't want it. They thought home renovation was too boring. Morrish had to reframe it as adult education, not entertainment. That's how he got the green light. Even then, Norm wasn't supposed to be the main face. The plan was to use different contractors for each episode. But when they started filming that first Victorian house in Dorchester, it was clear Norm had something special. He was calm. He explained things simply. Viewers connected with him. The format changed. Norm stayed. And within a year, This Old House became PBS's biggest how-to show with $2.8 million people watching every episode. By 1988, it was making PBS more than $15 million a year for merchandise and licensing. Meanwhile, that little barn behind Morrish's house was about to become famous. The new Yankee workshop wasn't built from scratch. It was an upgrade to the same barn Norm had built years earlier. What started as a shed for garden tools became a $180,000 renovation project they had to build around the original foundation without damaging it, using custom steel supports and a complicated roof design. Inside, the space was packed with top-tier woodworking gear, a unisaw table saw worth $12,000, a Powermatic planer for $8,500, and plenty more. Even the barn door was no joke. It weighed over 400 pounds and needed a $3,200 track system to open and close. All that money, all that effort, just to film one man teaching people how to work with wood. On January 7th, 1989, something unexpected happened on television. A quiet man with a beard stepped into a small workshop, turned to the camera, and began building a medicine cabinet. That moment changed the way people saw woodworking. The man was Abram. The show was the new Yankee workshop. And from that day forward, nothing about DIY television would ever be the same. The idea started off small. Producer Russell Morrish wanted to spin off from This Old House and focus on furniture. They built a 936 square foot shed, filled it with tools, and handed Norm the spotlight. There was no flashy crew, no scripted drama, just one man, a bench, and a camera that moved like a curious student watching over his shoulder. It was quiet, focused, and strangely hypnotic. But people couldn't stop watching. The first project was simple, a medicine cabinet, inspired by a shaker design Norm had seen in an old Massachusetts village. He used red oak, plywood, and box joinery. Nothing fancy, but everything solid. He explained every move from cutting to finishing. Viewers weren't just watching a cabinet being built. They were watching a philosophy unfold. Simple materials, clear steps, precise craftsmanship, the kind of work anyone could try if they paid attention. And they did. Letters started pouring in. Photos of finished cabinets, bookcases, tables. Viewers weren't just learning. They were building. Some were retirees. Some were young dads with no background in carpentry. The response shocked PBS. The show wasn't even supposed to go national right away, but demand pushed it across the country within weeks. Soon, it aired in Canada, Australia, and the UK. Norm's calm voice and steady hands crossed oceans. Tool sales went up. Lumber yards noticed a rise in red oak demand. Local woodworking classes were suddenly full. People started clubs. They met in garages, shared tips, built Norm's projects together. It wasn't just a TV show anymore. It was a movement, a new way of learning, a new kind of community. Behind the camera, things moved fast. Each episode was shot in just 2 days. Norm prepped everything before filming. Every board was cut, every tool laid out, every motion planned. The workshop itself was like a machine. Table saw in the middle, drill, press to the west, jointer and planer to the north, finishing area in the northeast corner. Nothing was random. Every tool had its place. Every cut was done by Norm. No tricks, no handoffs. If something needed sanding, he sanded it. If it needed glue, he glued it. Each project was built more than once. One for the show, one for photos, sometimes a third just to get things right. It was exhausting, but Norm made it look effortless, and that was part of the magic. Viewers trusted him because they saw him do the work. Every joint, every finish, every challenge, no edits could fake that. The new Yankee workshop didn't just teach woodworking. It showed what it meant to build something with care. It showed how much planning and patience goes into a single cabinet or chair. And it did all of that without ever raising its voice. No gimmicks, no drama, just wood, tools, and a man who knew how to use them. It's rare for a TV show to build furniture and a loyal fan base at the same time. But the new Yankee Workshop did exactly that. Over 21 seasons, he built 282 episodes the same way. Every nail